A single glowing membrane containing 100 perfect eggs is not how most modern nations choose to begin their official history. Yet, for nearly 100 million people in Vietnam today, this bizarre biological miracle is the undisputed cornerstone of their national identity. It is a sacred narrative that has survived millennia of foreign occupation, colonial erasure, and modern ideological shifts. Why would a highly digitized, rapidly developing modern society trace its literal ancestry back to a giant reptilian lord of the sea and a high-altitude fairy princess? The answer reveals a profound psychological blueprint that sets Vietnam apart from almost every other culture on Earth. Most civilizations trace their origins to acts of violence, cosmic wars, or the conquests of singular, divinely appointed kings. Rome has the feral, fratricidal violence of Romulus and Remus. Mesopotamia has the epic, world-shaping struggles of Gilgamesh. But Vietnam points to a peaceful, miraculous Vuong. In the Vietnamese language, there is a beautiful, singular word used to address fellow citizens, dong bao. It does not translate to compatriot or citizen in the Western political sense. Instead, it translates literally to those born from the same egg sac. When a Vietnamese person speaks to another, whether they are a high-ranking official in Hanoi, a fisherman in the Mekong Delta, or a diaspora youth in California, they are subtly reminding each other of their shared origin inside that mythical membrane. This is not a passive relic of a superstitious past. It is a living, breathing social contract that has dictated the country's survival through some of the most brutal chapters in human history. To truly understand why Vietnam has remained so stubbornly unified, resisting assimilation by massive empires, and surviving devastating modern conflicts, you must understand the myth of Lac Long Quan and Ao Co. It is a story that bridges the gap between the natural world and human society, offering a cosmic explanation for the country's unique geography and resilient spirit. In this exploration, we will journey back to the dawn of time, into the legendary Hong Bang era, to discover how a dragon and a fairy fell in love, why they were forced to tear their family apart, and how their painful compromise laid the foundation of a civilization that refused to die. We will peel back the layers of folklore to find the ancient archaeological realities of the Bronze Age, revealing how this myth served as a brilliant metaphorical map for early migration, agricultural survival, and ethnic harmony. This is the story of how 100 eggs built a nation. To fully appreciate the immense weight of this myth, we must first immerse ourselves in the physical and historical world from which it emerged, a legendary epoch known in Vietnamese historiography as the Hong Bang era. This was a time when the boundaries between history, geology, and magic were beautifully and seamlessly blurred. Geographically, the land that would eventually become Vietnam was a narrow, dramatic strip of territory pinned between the towering, mist-shrouded Annamite Range to the west and the vast, unpredictable waters of the East Sea to the east. It was a landscape of extreme contrasts, defined by dense, monsoon-drenched jungles, treacherous mountain passes, and a massive, constantly shifting river network, known today as the Red River Delta. This environment was both incredibly fertile and extraordinarily dangerous. The early inhabitants of this region, collectively known to history as the Lac Viet, had to contend with devastating seasonal floods, wild beasts, and the constant, exhausting struggle to domesticate a wild, swampy landscape. Historically, this legendary era corresponds to the transition from the Late Stone Age to the Bronze Age, specifically the Fung Nguyen and Dong Sun cultures, which flourished from around 2000 BCE to the first centuries of the Common Era. Archaeologists digging in the rich mud of the Red River Delta have unearthed magnificent bronze drums, intricate tools, and advanced agricultural implements that reveal a highly organized, sophisticated society. These people were not primitive forest dwellers. They were master metalworkers, skilled navigators, and pioneers of wet rice cultivation. Wet rice farming required an unprecedented level of social cooperation. Unlike dryland farming, which can be managed by individual families in isolation, wet rice agriculture demands the construction of massive dikes, canals, and complex irrigation systems to control the flow of water. This meant that survival was physically impossible without community cohesion. The early Vietnamese had to learn to work together on a grand scale, binding separate clans, families, and tribes into a single unified force. It is within this socio-agricultural context that the myth of the 100 eggs took deep root. The myth served as a sacred explanation for why these disparate groups, living in vastly different terrains, had to cooperate. It was a metaphorical map of early Southeast Asian migrations, explaining how the mountain-dwelling peoples and the coastal-dwelling peoples were actually part of the same original family. The story of Lac Long Quan and Ao Co did not just explain where the people came from, it justified their social structure, their intensive agricultural practices, and their deep, spiritual connection to both the land and the water. It was a narrative deliberately designed to foster unity in a world where division meant starvation. The story begins with the meeting of two cosmic opposites, each embodying the primal, untamed forces of the ancient Vietnamese landscape. First, there is Lac Long Quan, whose name translates to the Dragon Lord of the Lac. He was no ordinary mortal. He was a demigod, the son of Kin Duong Vuong, the ruler of the southern lands, and Than Long, the daughter of the Dragon King of the Dongting Lake. Lac Long Quan inherited the majestic, fluid power of the water. He was said to possess immense physical strength, the ability to breathe underwater, and the power to transform his shape at will. But the land he inherited was plagued by chaos, darkness, and terror. To make the territory safe for his people, the Dragon Lord embarked on a series of epic, heroic labors, battling three terrifying monsters that symbolized the natural dangers of the ancient world. First was Ngu Tin, a colossal demon fish that terrorized the southern seas, capsizing boats and devouring fishermen. Lac Long Quan heated a massive red-hot iron block, threw it into the beast's maw, and cut it into 3 pieces. Next was Ho Tin, a 9-tailed fox spirit that lived in a deep cavern near Hanoi, kidnapping young women and spreading terror. The Dragon Lord unleashed massive rainstorms and flooded the cavern, forcing the beast out and slaying it. Finally, he defeated Mok Tin, an evil tree spirit that fed on human flesh, driving it into the distant highlands. With the monsters subdued, peace returned, but the land still lacked a unifying spark. That spark arrived in the form of Ao Co, a beautiful fairy princess from the northern mountains. She was the daughter of Delai, a ruler from the north, and a descendant of Than Nong, the legendary deity of agriculture. Ao Co was a creature of the earth and sky, possessing deep knowledge of medicinal herbs, flora, and the secrets of the mountains. When she traveled to the southern lowlands, captivated by their beauty, she met Lac Long Quan. It was a union of water and fire, sea and mountain. Their love was instantaneous and cosmic, representing the marriage of 2 distinct cultural and geographical realms. Soon, Ao Co became pregnant, but instead of giving birth to a child, she delivered a single, massive sac of membrane. After 7 days, this miraculous sac split open, revealing 100 glowing, perfect eggs. From these eggs hatched 100 strong, handsome sons, who grew at an astonishing rate, requiring no milk and showing no signs of illness. They were the first ancestors of the Vietnamese people, born from the perfect union of a dragon and a fairy. For a time, the family lived in perfect harmony, but the laws of nature and the cosmos cannot be ignored forever. As the 100 sons grew into young men, a profound tension began to build within the household. Lac Long Quan, despite his deep, abiding love for his wife and children, felt the irresistible, primal pull of his ancestral home. He was a creature of the sea. The stagnant air of the dry land suffocated him, and he longed for the cool, deep currents of the ocean. Ao Co, conversely, was a creature of the high peaks. The lowlands felt heavy, hot, and oppressive to her spirit, and she yearned for the whispering pine forests, cool winds, and misty cliffs of her highland homeland. One day, Lac Long Quan turned to Ao Co and spoke words that would echo through Vietnamese history for millennia. He said, "I am of the dragon lineage, king of the aquatic depths. You are of the fairy race, dweller of the high mountains. Our natures are like water and fire. We cannot remain together in one place forever. This was not an angry confrontation or a bitter divorce. It was a profound, clear-eyed recognition of their destiny. They realized that their children could not thrive if they remained confined to a single domain. To populate the land, to cultivate the soil, and to guard the frontiers, they had to divide. They agreed to split their family equally. 50 sons would follow their father, Quan, down to the coastal plains, the river deltas, and the southern seas, where they would learn the arts of navigation, fishing, and maritime trade. The other 50 sons would follow their mother, Ko, up into the rugged northern highlands and dense forests, where they would learn to clear the land, plant crops, and mine the treasures of the earth. Before they parted, they made a sacred covenant. Though separated by mountains and seas, they would always remain one family. If one group faced danger, invasion, or disaster, they would call out to the other, and the other would immediately come to their aid. This moment of separation was not a tragedy, but the ultimate act of creation. By dividing, they mapped out the geopolitical reality of Vietnam, ensuring that both the highlands and the lowlands were settled, protected, and bound by an unbreakable blood covenant of mutual defense and shared origin. This parting was the birth of the nation. With the family divided, the work of building a resilient, self-sustaining civilization began in earnest. The 50 sons who ascended the mountains with Ko settled in the fertile hills of Phong Chau, located in what is now Phu Tho province in northern Vietnam. The eldest of these sons was chosen by his brothers to be their leader. He ascended the throne and took the title of Hung Vuong, or the Hung King, establishing the first official Vietnamese state, which he named Van Lang. This marked the birth of the Hung King dynasty, a legendary line of rulers who would govern the land for 18 generations. Under the guidance of the Hung Kings, the Lac Viet people developed the distinctive cultural practices that would define them for millennia. They cleared the dense forests of the Red River Delta, perfecting the art of wet rice cultivation by building sophisticated systems of dikes to tame the wild rivers. To protect themselves from the fearsome water monsters that inhabited the rivers and coastal waters, the people began the practice of tattooing their bodies with images of dragons and aquatic beasts, a tradition that persisted for thousands of years. They also developed unique culinary traditions that reflected their worldview, such as the creation of Ban Chung, a square sticky rice cake representing the earth, and Ban Gie, a round sticky rice cake representing the sky. They chewed betel nut as a sign of hospitality and respect, and blackened their teeth as a marker of beauty and distinction. Meanwhile, the 50 sons who went to the sea with Quan established coastal settlements, mastering the waves and building a powerful maritime tradition that would protect the country's long, vulnerable coastline. The division of labor between the mountain and sea brothers created a highly resilient, self-sufficient economy. The highlands provided timber, minerals, and forest products, while the lowlands and coasts provided rice, salt, and seafood. The two halves of the family remained in constant communication, trading goods and ideas, and reinforcing their shared identity. The myth had successfully transitioned into history, providing a sacred lineage for the ruling dynasty and a cohesive social framework for the common people, turning a disparate collection of tribes into a unified nation that understood the balance of its own geography. The myth of Quan and Ko is far more than an ancient origin story. It is a profound philosophical and sociological masterwork that continues to actively shape the modern Vietnamese psyche. At its core, the myth offers a unique perspective on national identity. Most national origin myths are built on stories of violent conquest, where one tribe defeats another, or where a divine figure establishes supremacy over a conquered land. In contrast, the Vietnamese myth is built on the concept of peaceful compromise, dualism, and absolute equality. The union of the dragon and the fairy represents the harmonious balance of opposites yin and yang, water and fire, lowland and highland. It suggests that strength does not come from homogeneity, but from the integration of diverse elements. Furthermore, the linguistic legacy of this myth is one of Vietnam's greatest cultural strengths. The term Dong Bao is a powerful linguistic tool that has been utilized throughout history to mobilize the population during times of supreme crisis. When Vietnam faced centuries of Chinese domination, the shared memory of the 100 eggs reminded the people that they were of a different lineage, helping them resist assimilation. During the wars of the 20th century, leaders on all sides invoked the concept of Dong Bao to appeal to a shared brotherhood that transcended political divisions. Even today, during natural disasters like floods or global crises like pandemics, the Vietnamese government and citizens use Dong Bao to call for mutual aid and solidarity. It is a cultural immune system, a reminder that in times of trouble, the brothers of the mountains and the brothers of the sea must honor their ancient covenant to help one another. The myth also teaches a profound ecological lesson. By dividing the population between the mountains and the sea, the myth emphasizes the interdependence of different ecosystems. It suggests that human survival depends on respecting and maintaining the balance between the land and the water, a lesson that is increasingly relevant in our modern era of climate change and environmental degradation. The story of the 100 eggs is a timeless reminder that no matter how far we drift, we are all connected by a shared origin. It teaches us that our differences are not weaknesses, but the very source of our collective strength. The next time you walk the bustling, motorbike-filled streets of Hanoi, gaze out over the limestone karsts of Ha Long Bay, or watch the sunset over the endless green rice paddies of the Mekong Delta, remember that you are standing in a land built on a promise made thousands of years ago, between a dragon and a fairy. The story of Lac Long Chuan and O Co is not just a relic of ancient folklore, it is a living, breathing narrative that explains the resilience, the warmth, and the unbreakable unity of the Vietnamese people. It is a reminder that even when forced to walk different paths, we can still remain bound by a shared heart. This myth has traveled across generations, preserved in the oral traditions of remote villages and the grand annals of imperial dynasties, surviving wars and revolutions, because it speaks to a universal human truth. If you found this journey into Vietnam's unique founding myth inspiring, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you help us bring more untold histories, rich cultures, and epic legends of Southeast Asia to a global audience. Your support allows us to continue producing high-quality, deeply researched historical content. We want to hear from you. Does your own culture have a unique origin myth? Do you have stories of miraculous births, cosmic ancestors, or ancient covenants that still shape your identity today? Let us know in the comments below. We read every comment and love learning about the diverse stories that connect us all. Share this video with a friend who loves history, mythology, or travel, and help us spread the word about the incredible heritage of Vietnam. Thank you for watching, and remember, no matter where our journeys take us, we all share a common human story. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep connecting.